location of your emergency.
Breaking news out of North Idaho. Moscow police are investigating a homicide on King Road.
Is she breathing?
No.
So 5'10", all black. Could you see what color his eyebrows were or anything like that?
No, I don't remember what his eyes look like either.
Officers discovered the bodies of Ethan Chapin, Xana Kernodle, Maddie Mogen, and Kaylee Goncalves, but no weapon has been located at this time.
Arrested. That's 28-year-old Bryan Kohberger in custody today.
Mr. Kohberger allegedly stalked one of the victims. That's false.
We do not have evidence that the defendant had direct contact with 1122 or with residents of 1122, but we can put his phone in that area. There are many residences in that area. It's a dense population of mostly college-related occupants.
Hey there, guys. Hold on a second. I gotta call Slade and tell him that their pizza just got here so we can get it from the door. And then I'll be on the camera. Give me a second. Okay, guys, give me another second. And then I'm going to be on the camera. I just realized I didn't have my mascara on. And my eyes honestly look really weird if I don't have mascara on with my black eyeliner. I don't know why I keep forgetting that step, you know, especially since I don't already have no eyelashes as it is. Any hoosers. Happy Monday. I hope everybody's day has gone well. We are finally going to get back to this book so we can get it done and over with, because I went ahead and ordered Cyray's book today. I don't know the exact release date. I could have sworn that it was June 1st. But it actually is not even, like, it's not saying that the book's actually released yet. And it has a delivery date of, like, July 10th through the 14th, which is, you know, like a month. A month practically. So I guess it hasn't actually released yet. Does anybody know if anyone has actually gotten like a physical copy of Cyray's book yet? Because I was kind of surprised that it was still giving me the same verbiage for like it'll ship when it releases type thing. So I guess we'll see. I guess we will see. But that definitely gives us enough time to finish this book because we only have 5 chapters left. And honestly, I don't know if I'm just like this good or if I'm just this good. You know, I really just don't. I don't know which one it is. Because the timing for this, ooh, my bright ass, hold on a minute. The timing for this is crazy because we just went over the stuff with Peter where he's saying all kinds of stuff about Kaylee and his theory on her having an OnlyFans because he's ill-informed about her Range Rover situation. This thing was like a $16,000 car. It was literally like nothing. It was nothing. And for a long time, people went around saying that she basically had a brand new to her. Yeah. Brand new to the area. Yeah. Brand new to that parking lot. Hell yeah. That's what was so important. It was brand new to there, you know, but it was used and she put a down payment on it and they ran her credit check and she had to verify her income and all the things that us normal ass people do. And a lot of people really were like, she dropped 80 bands on that vehicle. How'd she have all that money? No, she didn't. That was a lot of the stuff that was going around. So it's interesting that chapter 10 talks about victimology. It brings up OnlyFans. It talks about stuff that has stuff to do with more people that were at Sigma Chi. There's information about Ethan. There's these 2 girls' names in here that I've never heard of before that apparently had Ethan blocked. And they can tell, this is, I guess, the question I have. How can they tell from someone's phone if someone has their number? Well, let me rephrase. How am I supposed to phrase this? if someone were to get my ex's phone and he somehow, like, I don't see how someone could tell by having my ex's phone that I have my ex blocked. Does that make sense? And in the book, it's saying that per Ethan's records, they can tell that these two girls have Ethan blocked. So maybe there's like messages where he tried to send messages and he got like that instant response about like, you know, it like bounces back when a number's blocked or something. I don't know. I don't know how you can tell someone else. Like, you'd think you'd have to have the other people's phones for that. I don't know. Very strange. Just very strange. But the timing, like for what we've just gone over, perfectly adds up. So I'm really confused though, because I don't recall Bethany ever mentioning anything, but we've also really focused a lot more. Something right here is like touching my face and it's not, I don't like how it feels. It was bothering me. That's why I keep touching it. We've also paid a lot more attention to Dylan's interviews than we have Bethany's, or at least I personally have. So maybe she did say something sort of related to this and I just missed it. But he claims in here that in one of her interviews, she mentions the fact that something like that might be happening at 11/22, but that she wasn't part of it. But this is my thing. With all of this, we still have no proof of shit. And again, so many people have screenshots, screen recordings, video recordings, going over people's social media. There was never anything on Maddie or Kaylee's that linked to another website or anything like that. And there's never been anyone producing proof of them having an account somewhere that they could purchase something from, or even search warrants to the companies for those things. Like, we haven't seen anything with those names pop up anywhere at all. So until we see something like on paper, like it's literally hearsay, regardless if it's coming from Bethany or Peter or whoever, it doesn't matter. Like, we don't have any proof of that. It's just very strange that that's like the go-to rumor, but there's nothing to it. They were pretty, they had money, they went and did stuff. Like, there's nothing to prove anything. If we had search warrants, it'd be different. So I'd be like, okay, they took it at least seriously enough and they put a search warrant in to try to like figure out if they did, but we didn't see anything. Unless the FBI did all of that, because when it comes to the FBI subpoenas and the FBI search warrants, all of that is what really caused a huge problem in what the defense actually like, or really what the state was able to use, because there were several things that the FBI did in way of trying to get information from AT&T and other things before Kohberger's arrest. And a lot of it was not done correctly and caused a whole shit ton of problems because of the times, the dates. How did you get this information to even file this search warrant for that information if you didn't have this information first because the dates on here don't match? There was a lot of that a long time ago. Lots of that. This shit's going to annoy me. I'm going to shave all my hair off. No, I'm not. I promise I'm not. That's crazy. This is just something's going on my nerves right here. Maybe I'll get distracted enough when we start talking about all this and it won't bother me anymore. One thing I did notice in here too, you know how a lot of us are like, this shit AI, because it's like horribly written. So chapter 10 mentions Halloween, the title, Halloween, victimology, and terrible toothache. The entire chapter 10, at least when it comes to the information that's written in here, doesn't mention shit about Halloween and doesn't mention shit about a toothache. Now, he does have all of Bethany's speech that she forced Emily Allant to speak at the thing. So maybe there's something about Halloween and toothaches in her speech or some shit. But in the stuff that mattered in this chapter, there's nothing in there. So I'm like, it's got to be AI, because why would it just come up with a title that doesn't have nothing to do with anything? Based off of what? So we're going to go ahead and get started going over this. Let me put up a banner so people know what we're in here doing. It's not a very long chapter, especially since like a whole bunch of pages. Oh, thank you for the 10 gifted memberships, Miller Time. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll leave that right there for a second while I fix this banner. Broken Plea, chapter 10 review. I don't think I have anything else to say. I'm like, do I need to type anything else? I don't think there's anything else to say. I think that's pretty much it. All right. Okay. Congratulations to those who got those memberships. We have a week until our members only live, and we're going to be doing a couple different giveaways. So make sure y'all are there when I finally decide to put that out there. Eventually, I'll put it out to where it's scheduled. Okay. By the way, FYI, I will apologize ahead of time to the winner of this book. It might smell like tacos, because I definitely ordered some burrito tacos today and ate them while I was reading, and I might have gotten like a tiny micro drip on the page. So you might get hungry when you get this in the mail, because it might smell like burrito tacos. Okay. Chapter 10 starts off talking about hearsay, which is a big issue in this case because the majority of information that we're told is being repeated because a lot of people were talking and trying to figure out things, and like all very normal things. If you really want to be like completely unbiased about it, completely normal things for people to get together, have conversations, ask a bunch of questions, and for information to be repeated. But just like we've mentioned 1,000 times about the situation where Kaylee was outside with Murphy and she said somebody was out there by the dumpsters and she calls Bethany, that story got repeated a whole lot in the first like week or so of the interviews and whatnot, especially that first day at the police department. Bethany never said, Dylan never said anything. No one else at the scene said a damn thing about any of that. All of those conversations happened in between them leaving the scene and them getting down to the police department, where these huddles, these conversations. Everyone, Jack Decor, Hunter Johnson, Dylan, everyone that talked to, I believe even Lyndon and Josie mentioned this to Mowry. Or actually, Josie didn't talk with Mowry, I don't think. Who did she talk to? I don't remember. But I know that for sure the ones with Mowry that brought this up all mentioned the fact that after conversation, after talking to Redacted, which would be Bethany, after talking to so-and-so, hey, we were all sitting down and talking, trying to think up things, and this is what so-and-so said. Bethany was the only person that could have been put on the stand to be directly questioned about that situation with Kaylee and being outside and the guy being by the dumpster, because everyone else was hearing it after the fact. It was hearsay. She'd have been the only direct person. And that's really important because there's so much of that. A lot of it, again, repeated to make it look like it's something that it's not. But I like that he starts out here with Noons, but I don't really know. See, I guess this is where I need to learn like the legal difference. Because I know that this guy is placing the section in here where Dylan definitely says, remember we caught this, taller or shorter, when it comes to the person that she was describing. And Noons instantly is like, so 6 feet, and it goes from there. Is that hearsay if the cop got it wrong and started repeating it incorrectly, or is that incompetence? I don't know if that's on the same level as hearsay, if it's just incorrectly written information by law enforcement. That's not a witness coming forward and telling a story that they heard from somebody else. So I don't feel like it's the same thing. Like, am I wrong in that thing? I don't know the legal terminology limits for that. But he's putting it in there that way. And to me, that's not the same thing. In my brain, that's not the same thing. But he's talking about that and how Noons wrote down the fact that she said taller and like completely threw away the fact that she even said shorter, which is very true. One of the first things that we did notice. Then he says, when she told him Xana was the person she saw lying unconscious on the floor, he wrote down Kaylee. That's not technically true. I mean, it is, but it's not at the same time. What we learned is even though in his report, he has Kaylee and Xana mixed up. And even though in his original search warrant that he went and filled out for the house that day, he has Kaylee and Xana mixed up. The handwritten notes he took at the scene on that damn clipboard that he grabbed when he was talking to them at the back of the truck, he wrote it down right. He had Xana and Ethan together, and he had Maddie and Kaylee together. And he chose not to look at his freaking notes when he was writing the search warrant. And that mistake went from that search warrant for 1113, then to his report. And then it tumbled down into now we're having the first responders report sent into the Latell County prosecutor's office. And we've got the victims on here incorrectly. And then on top of that, in the first report that he writes for his actual like day there, at the bottom, he mentions the fact that he had Kaylee and Xana mixed up, but he doesn't reference that he has them mixed up in the initial search warrant for the house. And anybody who'd be doing things correctly would definitely be making sure that those paper trails connect and people know, hey, it's not just this one report where he made this mistake. He made this mistake in the initial search warrant. Just FY freaking I, if anyone cares to know about what the hell's happening here. But if he wouldn't have been lazy and looked at his notes that he took the time to write while he was speaking to Dylan, he would have gotten Xana and Kaylee's directions and where they were correct. So again, is that hearsay? Like, he's trying to make it in this book, which I feel like it's not the same thing. Or is it incompetence? Because the cop is not checking his information before he goes into his further process. I just don't think that that's hearsay. I really don't. Then he says, when Hunter Johnson told him about the steak knife on the table, he seemed to ignore it, only to detail a different conversation in his report. Now, again, is that hearsay, or is it the cop not listening? Is it the cop not going back and checking his body cam? Is it the cop not going back and checking his body cam and listening to the conversations he's actually having at the scene before he then goes in and he writes his information down? That's what that is. Again, to me, that's incompetence. That's not hearsay. Two different things in my non-law brain. Okay. I want to look at dates for things. I know that we have FOIA'd a lot of information, and I made like a sarcastic remark that I really didn't. I mean, I did, but I didn't mean it. But I kind of do mean it a hell of a lot now about how did he come and like get a whole bunch of people's FOIA'd information off of YouTube and like write his book with it, or like throw it into a system and write his book with it. And you know, when it comes to this damn like chain of custody and the matching signatures on it and all these other things, like we had that information in October. And we came public with it in October. And I'm only even mentioning up now because he says, like, he brings up in this chapter slow drips of FOIA requests. Slow drips of FOIA requests. So I just really kind of wonder, like, if he had someone coming in to the YouTube world or just out here on social media in general and like going through people's channels and grabbing like as much information from them and their FOIAs, their whatever they were able to get from the police, and turning it around to use it for himself without just saying where he got it from. I really am questioning that. So I want to get a hold of, I mean, I'm already planning on getting a hold of the book company, but I want to know like when their contract was signed for him to like start this whole thing. Because I don't know. I don't think he's being very honest about everywhere he's getting his information, especially since he's being so secretive about the other two people. But everyone else, and including himself, are so loud, you know? So we'll see. I don't know. So down here he says, careful analysis of this investigation shows that everything changed once Kohberger became the focus for attention, even though no one else was ever named a suspect. That's not true. Jack Decor is literally listed as the #1 suspect on everything, even after Kohberger was arrested, and does so until June of 2025. Not just that, where there were also several persons of interest. Jack Showalter was definitely being looked at like really, really hard. This dude knows that, so I don't really know why he put that in there that way. The hair on Maddie's bed is listed again. We got so, or at least me personally, got so involved in trying to make people understand that the hair in Ethan's hand was a legitimate thing because of the FBI lab reports and everything that was out here that we could piece together, that I kind of forgot about the hair on Maddie's bed. Now I know what it looks like. Like I can see the photo in my head. It's very blood-soaked hair on the beige comforter. I need to go back and check the documentation for that and see the paper trail for that too, because I keep forgetting to go back and look at that stuff. So the broken bracelet is mentioned again, and again, I can't see anything for that either. I haven't seen any documents saying that it was on the floor, that it was moved by anyone. There's nothing like that. And I mean, I don't know what body cam he could be looking at, because the only one he's referencing is Noon's camera in his interviews, Chris Whitcomb's interviews. And I think that Noon's is also the only camera that Turvey mentioned too. But I don't And we've watched that damn body cam so much, I don't recall him ever even walking into that spare room. Noons. Like, I know that he, like, did the whole, like, they had to clear it or whatever. But when it comes to, like, walking in, looking around on the floor with, like, a flashlight to, like, check for shit, like, we didn't see him go in there. So unless an ISP officer or, like, Blaker, maybe whenever they got back, or maybe even Payne, I don't know. But we haven't seen, in the hours we do have, anybody going in there and, like, hella looking. I don't know. The blood-soaked jacket, which is not a blood-soaked jacket. There are small, pieces on that green jacket that were supposed to be blood that might have gotten damaged. We're going to look even further into that. That's something with the Blue Star stuff that was a big conversation. We're going to do our own breakdown of all of that stuff. This one right here was really interesting because this isn't true unless this was said somewhere that we don't know yet. If anything, everything that we've heard is like the opposite, which has been like the craziest part. Claims by Molly McMichael that the man she saw in the car could not have been Kohberger were dismissed. Where did she ever, in any of those damn body cams where she felt the need to tell them how important she was to the Kohberger case, did she ever say that the guy that she saw could not be him? It's literally the opposite. Now, when they interviewed her, they didn't have a Kohberger. So when they interviewed her, she is giving information about the guy that she sees, and it sounds more like Jack Ducour than anybody else. It sounds more like somebody with like reddish, like lighter colored reddish blondish hair. It doesn't sound like Kohberger's description. Kohberger's hair is very dark. It's not going to be the same. But she never once ever, unless it's somewhere we haven't seen yet, directly stated that the guy that she saw could not be Kohberger. Literally, it's the opposite. I parked right next to him. Yeah, the Kohberger case? I'm a DoorDash driver. She literally was trying to get all the recognition for being a shitty 2-hour delayed freaking DD. So that's crazy that he put that in here because I don't know where the hell she possibly could have said that from. Statements by Justin Nadeau that the front door was open all morning may have been ignored. Now, Connor, I believe, is getting that interview, or I think it's like being redacted right now. I know that we're waiting on Jack Ducour's 11:15 interview, and all of the interviews that Connor requested are the only ones in front of Jack's. So did I have to talk to them last week? I don't remember what day it was that I got some FOIA information from them last week. So I'll check with them tomorrow and see how much longer we might have. Because it'll be interesting to, like, we know what he says about, like, when he went for a walk, the door was open. When he came back, the door was open. But it'll still be interesting to listen to, like, him say it directly. Okay, basically, he's saying that all of this stuff was ignored, which, again, we just questioned a lot of the stuff he's claiming right here, because, okay. Then he says that once they had Kohberger's name, all the insinuations about him with the WSU students became the very thing that everyone cared about, and no one looked at anything else again. And that's exactly what Brett Payne told us. He said that they had a main suspect, a lead suspect was the word, he used the L word, the lead suspect. And then they got the call about Kohberger. They shelved the lead suspect. After the call about Kohberger is when they were told that there were at least 2 at the time. In December, 2 at the time, unknown male DNA, that they were also told to shelf because they already had Kohberger's name, which is so stupid. But that's how he laid it down in that order. Lead suspect, Kohberger call, unknown DNA, shelved everything besides the call. See, and this is true right here. And this is like so important and why I get really aggravated that this is like the way that things go. And I know that a lot of it's probably because they want to make sure that like all of the so-say like trash or like air, whatever, is not brought in front of the court. But to know that like motions in limine and all these other things suppress what the jurors actually get to hear is a huge issue. Just like with the IGG. There's no reason, if this was done correctly, why the jurors shouldn't be allowed to know that the lab that was hired was incapable of doing the job. And in order to solve the case, because it was weeks and weeks and weeks and no answers, they decided to pull it from the third-party private lab and send it to the FBI. And then the FBI got a result. Oh, wait, no, never mind. The DOJ rules were completely broken. And even though it's constitutionally unimportant, it must be important enough that they want to hide the information about the Fed's involvement to the jury. Because if the jury knew the truth about the rules being broken and everything else, most people know exactly how they would go and decide things because of the bullshit, the lies, especially with all the proof that's already out there and everything they've already had to admit. So when things are cherry-picked, it doesn't tell the full story. And we see that with like the Mendez brothers, for example. In the very first trial that they had, everything was said about the essay and all the things, and then it still didn't go the way they thought. Well, then because of some stuff that he said over the phone, one of them said over the phone, I don't remember which one, because of something that one of them said over the phone, when everything came back to trial for the second round, all that information that all those people had already come forward with and testified to be true about the things that was going on inside of that home with their father and the things that the mother was allowing and all the things, all these people that knew about shit for years that came forward and got on the stand, none of them were allowed to come back and testify because all of that information was no longer going to be allowed to be told to the jury because of some stupid shit some idiot said on the phone that he shouldn't have said. So because he said something stupid, the truth wasn't allowed to be told in court, and it didn't go that way, the way they wanted then either. So either way, even with the truth told, it didn't go the way that they wanted to. But the fact that you can take something so severe that already has so much backing to it and be like, nope, we're ripping it away, it didn't happen. That's the principle of the point. So much proof, it literally happened, it's reality. Nope, we're going to strip it from existence. FBI did what? IGG who? That's what they try to play. It's really pathetic. And again, what are they doing in these cases that are not getting this much attention? Who knows? Who freaking knows? Welcome, Christina Rain. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining. Okay, so down here he says, Ann Taylor's office seems not to have found it odd that the state was going to trial claiming living room blood stains were diluted with Xana's saliva. I don't recall that. Unless that's part of what was written when they still thought that the pong table was Xana's blood. The only thing that I remember them saying that they thought could have been Xana's saliva that diluted it was the blood on the door to her bedroom. I don't recall them ever, because we still have nothing to prove Xana was attacked outside of that room, even though they wanted us to think that's so bad. So bad. It's not Xana's blood on the pong table. The damn swab in the kitchen was not even blood. That's why it never got sent off. There's no proof that Xana was attacked outside of that room. They want you to believe it for some reason. I don't know why. We're going to talk about that separately. We do every now and then. But it's a serious think piece question. Why do they need Xana to be attacked outside of her bedroom? Why do they keep trying to push that when there's no proof for that? There's a reason. Or that the assailant ran around the house naked to avoid tracking DNA back to his Elantra. Yeah, that's like the only thing different that Paula Sutton actually said after everything was said and done. Because Britt Turvey came back and the corrections were made to stain F and several other ones that were messed up in the numbering problem. And then she's like agreeing with everything that Brent Turvey, who again is the defense expert and Sutton's the state expert, she's agreeing with everything, everything that he is saying. Except the assailant had to have been naked. Well, still explain no toe prints. Explain no heel prints. No naked bare feet prints. Even if shoes and feet are covered, there is still an impression print made when blood is walked in. Where is all of that? So even if the person came in naked and ran out the house naked and all this other bullshit, where is the trail? Are they levitating? Are they Jesus and walking basically like on water over the floor? Like, or do they have a jetpack? What's going on? And again, I understand maybe nothing coming from upstairs because there's little bitty specks on the floor. And it would make sense, really, that there's not a lot coming out of there. But there's no way in shit that anyone walks out of what happened in Xana's room and doesn't track blood at least halfway down the hall before the prints completely dissipate. So where are they? Cleaned up. Cleaned up. Even the defendant's own admission of guilt seems inadequate, considering the court could have required what is known as allocution as a condition of the defendant's plea. Judge Hippler apparently chose not to do so. Kohberger never explained a thing. Well, then we also hear from the man who hates him the most that Kohberger wanted to do an Alford plea, which means that he wanted to maintain his innocence and just say, they've got too much information that I can fight. Obviously, they're not letting me bring in my own defense. They don't give a shit about my alibi. I'm a loner who was just out driving around by myself, and that's not good enough for them. They're not letting us bring in our own theories, our own alternate perpetrators. What the hell else am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? Now, someone sent me Star Trooper, I think is the username. I'm just going off the top of my head. I think it's Star Trooper. Sent me a video from a channel named Wendy G. Now, personally, she herself had a lot of things wrong. For some reason, she is under the impression that Brett Payne personally kept a knife sheath like in a storage shed somewhere that he owned that was his own property and that it wasn't being held with MPD. And I'm just like, okay, well, that's not true. But that's not what we're here for. Who she had on was somebody called Big Amish Media, who apparently is some sort of attorney. And he put together this presentation about the process that he believes Ann Taylor is trying to go here. Now, this is something that I kind of wondered in the beginning, but I've just lost so much faith in her that I don't know if I can believe this anymore. I don't know. We'll see what happens come September, or even with these new DOJ laws, which we're going to talk about this too. The change with the appeal situation change that just happened with the DOJ. I just find it really interesting that it's the DOJ rules that were broken in this case. This plea happened and he was told he had to waive his appeal rights. And then suddenly something with the DOJ is what's going to cause that to no longer be a thing, to where certain things can actually happen for appeals to be filed, which already was going to be a thing in this situation. But I'm just like, did they find a way to try to remedy the bullshit that they did because they know that this is wrong? And so they've created like this whole thing, because who knows how this shit works. This case and these names have been used for fundraising and law changes and all kinds of stupid shit that at the end of the day is all just to fill somebody's pockets and has nothing to do with anything intentional, at least nothing good. So who really knows? I guess we'll find out. What ends up happening. But we're going to talk about all that stuff here too. Once police named their suspect and got him indicted, it was all too easy to go back and shape their narrative based on things people heard. Because what did we always hear? That after they got the phone call on the 19th, they went back into everything they had, and there was not a damn single thing in any of the tips, in any of the investigative stuff they'd done for over a month that pointed to Kohberger. Not a lick of nothing. Nothing. That's crazy as hell. They listened to this bothered me, which you got a lot of nerve, Whitcomb, to even say a damn thing with what we know you most likely did with this book. They listened to various AI-generated opinions before narrowing their search of white sedans to one that matched his car. So you didn't use an FBI specialist, FBI's special agent Heel or whatever. It's not Heel. Actually, Heel did some stuff with the car. What's the other guy's name? There's another FBI guy's name. I can't think of it right now. Heil, whatever, Hille. He was one that did some stuff with the timestamps with the car, but I can't remember the other guy's name that worked on the make and model. Anyway, I don't understand how they can get away with using AI for anything when they're specialists for a reason. They apparently go to school and they learn the details and they study cars and they know how to go in and they make comparisons and they know what points to look for and all these different things. So what are we using AI for? And that's really crazy because we've seen the original list of vehicles that was sent out and Hyundai wasn't even on the list. So that's wild as shit. You shouldn't be allowed to use AI in criminal cases. I don't give a shit how people think it's become so advanced. No, keep that shit the hell out the courtroom. They seem to have ignored that witnesses told them about a years-long pattern of awkward selfies to publish, one that Kohberger took the morning of the crimes. So this is basically saying that was normal behavior for him to take selfies and have all these selfies on his phone, and normal behavior technically because it goes hand in hand with where that selfie got sent to, for him to talk to his parents all the freaking time. Completely normal. But they came out here and was like, oh my God, it's a trophy selfie. He's thumbs up in himself because he did a good job after everything that he just did. It's a trophy selfie. He took a shower and called his mama. Calm down. Crazy shit. They listened to an FBI expert's highly questionable claims about cell tower pings without checking the math. Yeah, that's 7 minutes. How do you go all the way until that court date before you even start talking about that 7 minutes? Oh, because the state wasn't handing over the discovery. And what was the reason? Because the FBI did everything. And the FBI didn't want to give over their bullshit because they know they were wrong. The fact that the state was not like, the fact that the process is not for the state, if this is not like the FBI actually leading and they're just assisting, the fact that the state is not instantly obligated to double check the work and make sure that they come up with the same result that the feds did before it's actually admitted for use in court is astounding. It's the same thing when, I mean, I've complained about this for a while now, search warrants. There's not a team that works for the judge that goes and takes the search warrant and goes back and talks with the police officer, pulls up the evidence that's mentioned and actually verifies that it's legitimate and true. There's no process for that. There should be. We peer review books about the processes that people are using for these search warrants and all of the things that need to be done in these cases. How come the information itself is not peer reviewed and double checked? Look at all the mistakes that constantly happen. Look how many things would have been taken out of that damn probable cause order that was written by Brett Payne if somebody actually double checked some shit. He had the information regarding the fact, and we checked the dates on this already. There's no freaking excuse for this whatsoever. By the time he wrote that PCA that mentions how the latent print on the floor in front of Dylan's door verifies the path of travel that Dylan said the person was coming, he already had the information. The dates on the information were early December, late November, for that not even being something that they processed. They didn't do anything with it. They didn't analyze it. They didn't even photograph the one behind it, and they didn't even analyze that one. There's nothing. They didn't do shit. They didn't try to size it. They didn't try to figure out where it came from. Not analyzed, pushed aside, but used in the probable cause. He had all that information. His name was on some of that information. He was aware, and he was still able to use it in that damn order. That's bullshit. This one right here, I don't know why he's saying this, because there were no rumors or speculations, because there was nothing to go off of. No matter what Bill Thompson's office has speculated about the relationship between Bryan Kohberger and his victims, it all comes down to gossip, but there was no gossip. There wasn't any. There was a lot of people trying to like figure it out in their head, but there was never any like, oh my God, Peter said that he saw Kaylee down in Pullman at this bar sitting next to a guy that looked just like Kohberger like a few weeks ago. That's gossip. That's hearsay gossip. There was nothing like that. Not even a little. There was the weirdo that kept trying to tell me incorrectly that Kohberger was trying to meet our Maddie at the hotel. That's wrong as shit. Other than that, I mean, psychics coming up with things to throw out there that they're just making up. People just coming up with theories based off of nothing, because he was never even at a store at the same time as them. Even when it comes to Mad Greek showing up on his phone, all he did is look around for like near me situations. He never typed that in. He never looked it up. He never even went in there. Crazy. Crazy. This is also interesting. And I think this is why they're not releasing his calls. Because I've listened to stuff from people in prison like for years. And I'm pretty positive I've listened to people in prison in Idaho when it comes to phone calls, prison calls, stuff like that. I have a feeling this is why they're not letting us hear any of it. Because he doesn't say anything inculpatory. And they don't want us to hear him sound more innocent than he already looks. That's just my opinion. After nearly 3 years of investigation, the prosecution has never disclosed a single statement Bryan Kohberger made about his own involvement with the crimes, despite all the discussion about coworker complaints, sexual harassment, unfair grading, and Tinder dates, feeling uncomfortable in his presence, which is, I don't believe that redheaded chick. She never produced her Tinder profile that showed she ever matched with him. In all the interviews that she did, she just sat there talking. She never produced the proof. Like when the Christian Martinez guy that was the neighbor that invited Kohberger to the pool party showed up, they produced his text messages between him and Kohberger. It's true. When Holly came out, the girl from the pool party, they produced her text messages. Where's the proof Miss Tinder chick even matched with him? They didn't care. They just wanted the story, and she was willing to tell something stupid for attention. Through all of this, it appears no one has ever expressed concerns about him being violent. Not one person has suggested any possible connection between Bryan Kohberger and Kaylee and Maddie, the two most likely targets. This is why I said what I just said. Interviews of numerous former cellmates and jailhouse snitches disclose not one single utterance Kohberger made about his involvement in the murders, not a slip-up, not a brag. So then you have to think too, not even anybody like listening in to like his phone conversations and hearing something on the phone. The only thing I can think of is he literally just like sounds innocent as shit. He has no answers to anything. He sounds confused. He says something about maybe he has knowledge about what's going on and it doesn't point to him. But through their investigation, they think they maybe have an idea. Maybe there's conversations about that. I don't know. But for them to just like straight up deny every little thing when it comes to trying to get anything from Kohberger himself, this just like person who just like popped up and doesn't speak. We don't have anything. Like, it's just really strange that they didn't find anything they could use in all of this time. Nobody goes like that long without making a mistake. And apparently, like, not even any behaviors that would even like make you think that that's even a possibility. Like, nothing. He's a weird. He's got autism, so people instantly are just like, yeah, he's a little bit strange. You know, he's a weird guy. But when it comes to all that other stuff, it never goes that far. Where's that turn of behavior? Where is that like scary portion of all of this that we're supposed to believe is a thing? Because again, all these people that had apparently all these complaints, none of them ever turned him in as a possible suspect. Not a single one. Not a professor, not a redheaded evil lesbian who was mad about him asking her out for coffee. No one. No one. Nothing resembling hearsay was introduced in court during the change of plea hearing where it would have been allowed, meaning there was nothing said. Nothing they could dig up from anyone. No one ever heard him express opinions about how the killer got into the house or why he walked directly past Dylan's room on his way upstairs. Not a peep about knowledge of the house, late night trips to Moscow, premeditated intent. But this is where he pisses me off because this we know is not true. If posing of the bodies indicates subtext, where is it? If signature wounds suggest statements by the killer, as behavioralists suggest, what was Kohberger trying to say? What do you mean? As behavioralists suggest, Mr. Whitcomb. Does that mean that you lied when you said that you saw autopsy photos? Because for you to say that there's matching signature wounds like you've been coming out here and lying about, which Turvey has been lying about too, you would have to have seen them, right? But, you know, honestly, after going in and listening to the actual autopsy reports, which I don't think you guys thought that we were going to get anytime soon, it's very apparent that y'all are full of shit. Kaylee's wounds I don't think I have this mixed up. I'm pretty sure it's Kaylee's. Her wounds are up here on the shoulder. They are not vertical, 2 vertical lines on her shoulder. They go this way and slice so far down, you can see the ball in the socket. You can see her shoulder socket. Maddie's is down here over the left top part of the breast where her 2 wounds start. They are not the same direction. They're not on the same part of the body. They're not matching double-sided, double-edged blade, vertical markings that are indicative of a signature. They are not. They're not. So the fact that Turvey is even coming out here and claiming that, I'm surprised. Because you'd think that he would have at least saw the autopsy photos, right? Read the autopsy reports to know that's not true. And to say that there's a signature, that puts a whole aura on a situation. Just like with Delphi. All the damn odinous shit in that case, if you just want to disregard it, go ahead. People can be blind to it. But when you know the shit that's there, the positions that we're in, the F on the tree, all that symbolism matters. So when you come out here and you say they had matching left shoulder, parallel, vertical wounds that were done by a double-edged weapon like a dagger, I'm expecting to see that in the autopsy reports. Instead, again, Kaylee's is horizontal. Not shallow, not a signature, not a message with intent. And Maddie's is all the way down here in a completely different angle. So why are y'all lying about that? I don't really quite understand that, but that's something else we have to call out in a separate video. So we'll get to that. Because that's bullshit. That's bullshit. Okay, so now they're talking about how the victimology stuff starts, and this is where I said my timing is really interesting because it gets into a lot of the information that Joe Lake was going over. He talks about certain reports. I'm not going to bring up the reports. We're just going to mention them as they go through in here. But it says here that as of November 16th, Joe Lake and Darren Gilbertson were lead victimology team for the case. Now, we know here that Little Miss Christie is telling everyone that Darren Gilbertson apparently messaged her about the knife sheath being on the floor in the handwritten report and claims it's just something else that we can obsess over. It's in transcription error. No, you're a fucking idiot, Darren. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to FOIA the Idaho State Police for these text messages because this is a conversation about the case. Therefore, he's going to have to produce them. So we'll see. ISP usually responds fairly quickly. I'm going to file that tonight. She's the one claiming that the messages are real, even though they look hella fake. Like, if you look at the message, it's like hella highlighted. I don't know who decided to put it up there, but they should have just left it alone in its true form. I'm going to FOIA them. So we'll see what the rest of the message is, and then we'll talk about that. So then it starts talking about how in supplement number 89, they started building character sketches of their victim within days of the crimes. They tried to narrow down their search for suspects based on modus operandi and Dylan's physical description of a white male with average height and weight. And again, she refused to do a composite. She has all this information. She has all this detail. She won't shut up. She won't shut up. But she won't sit there and do a sketch. She has all of this great artwork. Very talented, the way that she draws. If that's really her that drew it, the stuff in her room, talented, meaning she has descriptive capabilities. She doesn't need to sit there and draw it her freaking self. That's not what they're asking of her. They're asking her to sit there and speak to someone and describe the way the person's face looked like her mind would want to see it if she were drawing it herself. She's an artist. She should understand that. Instead, we see this artwork that looks very realistic in her room, and then she goes to draw the mask that she saw, and it looks like something a 3-year-old would draw. Like, come on. When there's a drastic change in behavior or pattern or ability, it's usually bullshit and intentional. So then it says a rundown of the very first people that apparently were being looked at, which none of this should shock anyone. Maddie's boyfriend, Jake, because the murders happened in Maddie's room and they felt like that's the person writing this felt like that was the intentional area to go to. So it says they looked at Jake, then to gossip involving a drunken tryst with a Delta Tau Delta member named Connor Chestnut. That was the kissing situation down in, I think it was Cancun. Neither Schreiger nor Chestnut has ever been implicated or charged. Well, duh. They tracked Maddie's movements Saturday night to a bar called Corner Club, where they interviewed patrons and staff and tracked camera footage of a mysterious grub truck guy wearing a hoodie, Jack Showalter. They looked into at least one of Kaylee's former boyfriends, which we know would be Jack, let's be serious, interviewed a man she might have invited home from a bar, identified and eliminated a Winco stalker. There was 2 guys in the Winco thing, so it's interesting he uses singular terms here. They surveilled a student from Boise who abruptly left campus Sunday morning with an unexplained gash on his hand that he didn't have treated. Has to be Chicken Boy, right? Like it would have to be Chicken Boy. He drove a white sedan that looked very much like the one saw on Ring Cam video. Chicken Boy drove a white car? Was there anyone else with a wound? I don't know if there was anybody else with a wound. Now here we get into the OnlyFans stuff. This is the picture that I posted earlier on the community post. Police looked at alcohol dependence and drug dealing, social media profiles on dating sites like Tinder, commercial eth platforms like OF. There was a persistent rumor that one or more of the victims had earned money posing online in a bikini or selling photos of their feet. That was Maddie doing modeling for her marketing class for the clothing store she worked at. You know, that's like a job. The feet thing, that's like also something that only ever came out when this book came out. And Chris Whitcomb has so much shit wrong. I just can't take it seriously until we have proof, and I don't see a search warrant saying that it ever was. Bethany Funk was asked about this in the presence of her lawyer and admitted that it might have been a thing at 11:22, but she was not involved. So I don't know what Jack knows. It feels like Jack would know something since he's talking about photos. But then again, I also just said, like, they were in a relationship for a super long time. It wouldn't surprise me if he had photos of Kaylee. They were together for a long time. That's not abnormal. But then we also know that he and his story is that it sounds like a J name is who Kaylee might have thought could have been the person responsible for trying to get those from Jack. And then he says something like, it made her believe it even more that it was that person after Maddie also started getting asked questions about it. So that's why one of my first thoughts was like, was it Jake? And he was trying to like catch them doing something that maybe she had lied to him about doing, and he like knew about it. He was trying to like be sneaky about it. Like, was it him? Because I don't know the history enough to know if there's another J name that would do that for Kaylee's opinion. You know what I mean? I don't know if there's somebody else. With so many aspects of this investigation, hopeful leads proved fruitless. Persons of interest became possible suspects. Possible suspects became the focus of intense scrutiny. But in the end, we're all washed out with no credible ties to the crimes. That's not true. That's not technically true. There's a lot of people that had means, several that had some sort of motive, one particular, maybe something else happening in the realm of Ethan and Xana if we could get a straight freaking answer to something. Could have been something nefarious happening online. Maybe something was going on with Maddie and Kaylee. None of it led to Kohberger. So this exact same thing could be said for him too. No credible ties to the crimes. That little bitty nothing DNA could be sneezed out. That's nothing. So it's the same thing. No connections. Can't place him there. Can't connect him there or to the people that live there. Now, this is where it looks like some of Joe Lake's victimology reports were rewritten down into FBI-style reports for their case number. I would really like to know what Matthew Gamet was doing in Utah after him and Blaker dropped off the sheath DNA at Othram, because we know he went up to Utah, and they're verifying that the office that everything was ran through was the Salt Lake City, Utah office. I just don't know what he went up there for. Like at the same time that the DNA for the sheath was being dropped off. I just wish we had more information on that part. But they claim there's nothing, and I haven't gotten a response from MPD about Blaker's portion of that information yet. Because we had requested it from ISP and we got a bunch of it from him. That's how we found out that he did not return back to the Boise airport to pick up his car for like 3 days because he ended up going to Utah instead. So we'll see if we get some information on Blaker's side of things. Because when I asked him for emails, he's like, there aren't any emails or correspondences. And I'm like, how did y'all plan it? I've never seen anything business related, especially travel, and there's not like email confirmations and stuff like that. Like, what are you doing? What are you talking about? Okay, so this is crazy if you really think about how they have 0 here. So he starts talking about like all of the different agencies that were involved. And we know that the feds, we know Homeland Security, we know obviously Moscow, Latell County Sheriff's Office, all the different towns around them, Pullman, Lewiston, like a bunch of different departments really like tried to assist in any way they could, right? But then we also have a bunch of these, 4-letter bullshits. So he's got the Consolidated DNA Index System, which is CODIS, the Critical Incident Response Group, which is called CIRG, a cross-country surveillance element known as a Special Operations Group, or SOG, S-O-G, the Cellular Analysis Survey Team, which is CAST, and then it says the FBI's National Center for the Analysis of Violent Crime, or otherwise known as NCAVC. That's the profilers. So I wonder if I can FOIA the FBI's National Center of the Analysis of Violent Crimes Division and get their information for the profile that they apparently built up for the suspect in this case because of what Thompson said. Don't bother asking. They're not going to have a normal brain. Did he read that in that report that was written by a profiler in this department, or was that actually directly said to him? I wonder if it's in the report and he's just regurgitating what he's read. I'm going to see if I can get it. I mean, it might not be that division now that everything's been like handed over, but they're also acting like, oh, we're lending you information. It's a loan of information. You freaking weirdos. That shit don't make no sense. Let's see. Bro, there's so many Kayleys and Kyleys in this damn story. Holy frick. Okay. Down here, it talks about in supplement number... Oh, he doesn't have the supplement number. On December 7th, it talks about a phone interview he does. And I don't remember. I've never heard these names, bro. There's so many names in this chapter I've never heard of. Kaylee Tavernier is how I'm assuming it's pronounced because I'm Cajun and that would make sense. Tavernier. Tavernier or Tavernier. It's pick. You take your pick. Her name is Kaylee. Kayleigh. This girl knows Ethan and others and was at the Sigma Chi party with her best friend, Kylie. But instead of like our Kylie Rodney, which is Kiely, hers is Kyleey. There's another Kaylee that gets talked about. There's either another Kaylee or another Kylie that gets talked about in a few pages here, and it's not the same ones that are in this one. Which is, there's so many of this matching name shit in this situation. A lot of it. There's even another Dylan. It's one of the girls that has Ethan blocked. We're going to get to that here in a minute. She believed Ethan wasn't acting like himself and keeping to himself. Kaylee later stated she may have mistaken the identity of the person she believed was Ethan. She provided via email a vague video from the party. No evidentiary value was obtained in the video. The provided video is added to evidence data of this report. Now he's claiming that when he was going through Bill Thompson's disclosure from what was given to the defense, that he couldn't find this. I could not find this in Bill Thompson's massive disclosure of the defense. So I know Connor emailed me and said, well, he said something about it in chat. I think it was yesterday. A girl sent him a video of Bethany talking to a few people. I haven't had a chance to look at it yet. Just now is like the first time I actually opened my email like all day long. So I don't know if it's the same thing. I don't remember him saying that was that girl's name. It might have been. I don't know. I'll take a chance to look at it tonight now that I'm thinking about it. But if this is true and she doesn't have the person mistaken, I mean, Peter is acting as if Ethan was feeling some type of way. So maybe it's true, maybe it's not. And like, as I'm reading this, I'm like, oh, I'm going to FOIA this. I'm still going to FOIA this. Just because he is saying that it's not in the disclosure that was given to the defense doesn't mean that it's not somewhere. So this is going to get FOIA'd. This is definitely going to get FOIA'd. We're going to see what they do. Because he says that if it's not in the discovery, then it's possible that Ann Taylor might not have even known about it. And it could be important because we don't know what the hell's going on. Everything with Xana and Ethan's timeline is missing. More than 45 minutes. Like if they left the lodge between 1:20, 1:25, 1:30 at the freaking latest, and the DoorDash was placed at 2:15, and we're being told by everyone that's worked this case, including that stupid, ugly, bald, bored judge, that they were not home at 2:15, that's over 45 minutes. Where were they? We still have no idea when they actually got to that house. That was the whole goal of the 11-12, to get some sort of inkling of something about Xana and Ethan. We talked about it forever. I even had it in the damn emails. Like, this is why this is so important. Like, to the FOIA office, I was very clear with Amber what I was looking for, which is probably a big mistake on my part. I shouldn't be so honest, I guess. But it's in there. The exact intent of why we were getting this damn footage. Not like it's legal that I have to tell them. For some reason, I felt the need to make it known to them that this was for a reason. A real reason, not just me wanting to get it because I'm trying to just publish bullshit, blah, 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 whatever. No, we have no answers. 4 years later, no idea when they got home, no idea from their phones when they got back and touched the Wi-Fi, no idea from her location services on her DoorDash. I know for a fact when I order DoorDash, I have to have my location on. I can keep my VPN on, but I have to turn on my actual location into my phone and allow DoorDash to hook onto not my VPN location, but my legit one. So if she wasn't home, they would have to know if she wasn't home. The DoorDash order itself should have a location in which she was at the time she created the order. Because if she wasn't home, it would have told her. It tells me. If I have to run to the store real quick and I don't have time to cook and I know that I'm going to have to hurry up and get stuff done and I'm sitting in the parking lot real quick before I leave Walmart to get it done, it will say, are you sure you're kind of far from your house? You're kind of far from your normal drop-off location. So you have all of this stuff. You have her on TikTok. You got her on DoorDash. The phones are switched around. You want to tell us all this bullshit. You can't tell us nothing that's legit. How do we not know with two phones where these people were? And it's not like they were driving at such high speeds that they couldn't connect to anything. The truck was at the house. They were walking. Insane. Okay. What is interesting here, too, is that it seems like what he's saying in this next sentence is that the Kaylee Eppenstein chick that was with the, I'm already, oh my God, these names are driving me nuts. The Kylie girl that was with the Kaylee girl at the party that's mentioned by the Kaylee girl doesn't get spoken to. So even though this is another person at the party and the person that's reporting this other person saying something was wrong with Ethan, he wasn't acting like himself, they don't go and interview the girl that was at the party witnessing this as well. They just don't even bother. Not shocking. Not shocking. Neither Kaylee Eppenstein nor anyone else has ever apparently been asked what might have been bothering Ethan. This is where Erica gets brought up. Bill Thompson's files contain documentation of a text sent from Erica, and he keeps it in quotations, to Ethan at 5:30 p.m. Friday saying, "You're getting cheated on." But there is no further context. Ethan received a second nearly identical text from Erica at 12:43 Sunday morning, but no one seemed to have determined what this meant in terms of his relationship with Xana. The fact that Ethan was murdered naked in his girlfriend's bed only complicates Joe Lake's mission to figure out why. Yeah, cheating messages, and then the strange ass way that he was found in his bed, and then the fact that his body was covered after the fact. That's a very personal signature. That's a signature. That tells you the behavior and the emotions of the assailant. Most people are not going to stick around to make sure that the dead body gets covered back up. They're going to try to get the hell up out of there. And not only that, but the girls were covered back up with the blanket after they were posed. After Kaylee was put on Maddie like they were cuddling, then there was a blanket. And who was left exposed in their underwear with their legs spread open on the floor? Xana. She's the only one that was left completely and utterly exposed with no give a shit. So what? That's if you see that, like if that's the scene that you walk into, instantly my brain would be like, Xana has to be the target. Because this is crazy. Like Xana and Kaylee have such dramatic differences in things. Again, with the way Xana was left, but what happened to Kaylee's physical being. And I want to take a lot of time later to really try to figure out, well, if we can, really, it's just like, we need to talk about it. Because you know how Jack said that that room used to be Kaylee's? He said he helped her move from Xana's room on the second floor up to the third floor. And we know that we're being told that she had someone living with her in her room over the summer for a few months. So I'm going to, or at least for like a little while, over the summer, as we were told. So I'm going to assume that would have been while she was on the second floor in Xana's room. But when was the change? If Jack helped, when did that change happen? And could the person who actually like went into the house, could they have thought that they were maybe going after Kaylee? And they went into Xana's room thinking that that's where she was because that's where they were last told. And Xana was attacked the way she was because maybe they didn't know who really they were looking for. I have a lot of questions about a lot of things, so many things, especially when it comes to money, behaviors of certain family members, different things that we were being told, distractions. Everything with Xana and Kaylee says a lot. Like Ethan, I don't know. I really feel like Ethan was like, we got to get him out the way. He's a problem. He has nothing to do with shit. He's a problem. We have to take him out. I could be wrong. That's just how I've kind of always felt. But the more information that we've been getting, it's like it's either Xana or it's Kaylee. Or there's something else that combines the two. And I'm really wondering about that because we didn't know, or at least I didn't freaking know. Okay? I didn't freaking know that Kaylee and Xana went to school together. Jack mentions taking Kaylee to parties and Xana being at those parties and them going to school together. So could there be something connecting the two deeper than what we think? I don't know. There's a lot of little things in the backgrounds that we don't know about yet. And until we figure all that out, we're not going to really be able to know. But now I'm questioning that. I also want to know if there's a deposit slip for the money that Kaylee was supposed to be getting from selling that car. Because the way that the guy says it is that Steve shows up and Kaylee pretty much instantly leaves and just yells behind her, "I'm keeping the money," and gets into a white car and takes off. Conveniently gets into a white car and takes off. Now, I really want the surveillance footage and I keep forgetting to file for it because there's a million other things. I wonder if the white car that picked up Kaylee resembles a Hyundai Elantra. Because that's how it's described, as a little white car. A white car, little white car, I don't know. I'm curious as to if it looks like the car on the footage. So I'll FOIA it eventually when I remember, and I guess we'll find out. There's also some footage of her at the gas station in Hayden, I think they were looking at. So there's a lot of stuff there that I want to get. But I don't know, something in just like, and I know that people are questioning the stuff that Jack said about the pictures and stuff, but I'm just like, I just don't know. For Xana to be left exposed like that, for Kaylee to have been so brutally beaten, that didn't just happen because somebody came in on a hit. Like that's emotion in what happened to Kaylee. But I've also kind of questioned, like, could it be third party emotion? If that makes any sense. Like, could the person have been taking out what they were feeling against somebody else on Kaylee because of her association with the other person? I.e., could Steve had been the reason why the house was attacked that night? And the person who did the attacking has a personal vendetta against Steve Goncalves and was taking it out on Kaylee? Because that urgent care thing is never going to go away. And for him to show up at the car thing when he didn't even bother helping her get the Range Rover, the grandma gave her the extra money, and then she yells, "I'm keeping the money," and takes off, and then she's dead in 24 hours. Is there a slip for the $6,500 being dropped off at the bank? Where'd the money go? Why did she need to even explain to her father what she was doing with money that was her money to begin with that had nothing to do with him before she gets in a white car and takes off? I'm so tired of all the questions. There needs to be answers to so many things here. It's just difficult to try to keep track of everything because there's so much. Like, this is all stuff we've talked about before, and everything just keeps on happening, and we keep on trying to keep up with everything, and then I forget that there's things that we need to FOIA and come back to. I need to clone myself. I need to clone myself. I need an AI. You know what I need to create? But I hate AI, so I'll never do this. I'm just going to talk shit for like a minute. It'd be beautiful if I could create like a FOIA assistant. When like I just set it on the desk like a little bitty Alexa, and it just listens to me all day long. And when I say, "Damn, I need to FOIA that," it instantly logs it up, says exactly what it is, what I was reading, gives me all my references, gets the website pulled up, and like gets it all scheduled and sets a reminder for me. File this FOIA. I need an AI FOIA robot. That's what I need. I need an AI FOIA robot. I really, really do. Oh, thank you for the $9.99 tips. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you for the 10 gifted memberships, Wasp. Congratulations to those who got those. Thank you for the $9.99, Kim. We need to discuss the Kaylee and Xana situation. Yeah, I'm going to get some information put together. Oh, I didn't even realize that was doing that. See, that's what happens when I don't look up at the screen. Y'all get a big old blinding light in your eyeballs. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't, like I said, I thought that like the majority of her life she was in Arizona. I didn't realize that she had connections outside of college with the people that she lived with in that house, or just in general. I really did not. Like, I knew that Dylan did, and I knew like some of the other histories, but I really did not think that Xana went to high school in Idaho, especially not like with Kaylee. So I don't know. The room switch thing is what is like so crazy to me. Especially when it comes to what I said about Kaylee and the whole Steve Goncalves thing. Because, you know, they didn't go down there. Like, did they even know that she switched rooms? I wouldn't know. Like, did they give them the wrong room that she was in? Like, I don't know. I don't even know what to think. Though their behavior that day is never going to be something I can just set aside and not ask questions about. Instantly getting the cameras, not going down there, trying to avoid the cops by not going down there, acting like they're just waiting around to see. You know, y'all knew exactly what was going on, Mr. Urgent Care. I mean, HIPAA's great and all, but damn. I wonder if they told the cops that. Because something else that I've wondered about that situation is, is it even true that he had a thing happen? Because we don't know that, right? Like, we just know what Christy told us. We can't get his medical records to prove that. But I'm wondering if, like, the whole urgent care thing happened because he needed an alibi where he was on camera. And there's not a lot of, like, reputable places open at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning besides, like, hospitals, hotels, you know. Just my opinion. I'm just wondering, you know, it's kind of crazy. First time in 20 years, he's in the emergency room the same morning his daughter's getting brutally beaten to death. That's weird, Steve. That's weird. Okay, so he starts getting into Ethan here, which I like that he starts getting into Ethan, and I also like the fact that he mentions the fact that Ethan is being erased. He deserves more than a brief mention in a mysterious text of someone named Erica. Yeah, he does. They've done a really good job of trying to delete Ethan from existence in this entire damn thing. Ethan James Chapin was 20 years of age at the time of his death, a U of I freshman, but he wasn't technically a freshman, but he was at the same time. He was freshman level with his credits, but he was a second-year student, is I guess the correct way to do that. He was a 6'4", 228-pound native of Conway, Washington, majoring in recreation, sport, and tourism management. He was a member of Sigma Chi, lived by himself in an off-campus apartment, and drove a red Jeep registered to his father. According to friends in a published obituary, he laughed continuously. He smiled when he woke up and was still smiling when he went to bed. He was kind to all and a friend to all. Then it shows that on December 1st, supplement number 153 is an interview with Ethan's dad, James Chapin, otherwise known as Jim Chapin. And it says here that in the report, James said Ethan was a leader who had had a great relationship with his girlfriend of almost a year, Xana. He was the first delivered of all of the triplets. Ethan Chapin was very close to his siblings, and Peter was his closest friend. This was written by Lake. Jay Chapin is not aware of anyone or any event which could have led to the murder of his son and the other 3 victims. Then it talks about the December 5th interview from Peter we just went over last night, number 157. And he takes out the portion here about it's hard to date Xana. That's literally in the freaking book. Peter stated Kernodle had a lot of admirers, but she and Chapin were perfect for each other. The night before the murders, Chapin told, well, I'm saying Peter, but it's his freaking last name that's in here. But, you know, it can be difficult to be in a relationship with Kernodle because she draws so much attention. Then he moves on. Actually, he moves forward and he goes up to December 1st, where Hunter is being interviewed in supplement number 154. And all this says, according to what Joe Lake wrote, was both Ethan and Kernodle were well liked by others and the life of the party. They regularly had parties at 1122 King Road, Moscow, Lato County, Idaho. I don't know why it's written like that, but it's Joe Lake that did it like that. I mean, I know it's descriptive, but like that's crazy in these reports this far down the line. But it was generally the same 20 up to 70 people who frequented the parties, and all were associated with the University of Idaho Greek life. I don't know about that. We saw a very much older, very pudgy, balding man walking around with a cup of beer in his hand at one of them their parties. So that's a bit odd. 70 people. Yeah, probably even more. I know in the footage we have one of the body cams where it looks like Emma Bailey's outside with her little bandana thingy on her head. There's like got to be 100 people at that house. For them to be like, oh, you know, 15, 20 people, my fat ass. I'm sorry. No, y'all really packed them in. Y'all packed them in. So on December 1st, again, we're talking about now Maisie's interview. And this is where she mentions that he spent most of his time with Peter, Hunter Johnson. This is where it's odd. Kyle Fry and Emily Allant. Now, I say it's weird. No, never mind. I'm thinking Kai Davis. Scratch that. Kyle Fry makes sense. That is one of his really close friends. And Emily and Hunter, because Emily's with Hunter, y'all know they got engaged. Like it's all over social media. I feel like that's a trauma bonding relationship. I don't feel like they need to be together. And that's just my opinion. I don't know their life. I mean, they might be perfect together. I don't freaking know. All I know is that the history shows that literally just a mere weeks before this took place, he was dating Josie. So this relationship was like hella fresh when all of this happened. And then they've just like been stuck to each other ever since. That's a trauma bond. It's not healthy. It's not healthy. That's just my personal opinion. I don't think it's healthy at all, but whatever. They're going to do what they want to do. All right. Maisie said she met Xana once during sorority rush, but had gotten to know her through Ethan, and that the two had been dating for about a year. She and Ethan often spent time at Mad Greek, where Xana worked, but that the two never mentioned having weird feelings about anyone, customers, or employees. Then Maisie says that he did not use any substances, but drank a lot, which, you know, I really question, like, did they really just not know? You know, like, did Maisie just not hang out with him enough to notice him taking Adderall? Or is she lying for her brother? Because everybody else seems to know that Ethan's the guy to go to when you want it because he knows exactly where to find it. Several different Sigma Chi guys said that. So I don't know. They talk about the formal a little bit, and we all know about how that stuff took place. She did end up going. She went home, and then he told her he loved her, which doesn't happen ever. So that was like weird when she realized that the next day. So then it goes down to talking to Tim DeWolf. Is this another one Connor said he's getting? I feel like we just talked about this guy. Don't quote me on that, but I think it is a name that's incoming. Maybe. This is supplement number 53. Now, this part's interesting because this Tim DeWolf guy is telling the cop that he's one of Ethan's best friends and that they saw each other at the formal, but then like there was no other conversations between them at all like the rest of the night. And I guess that's not a big deal, but it's odd because it just seems odd for some reason. I don't know why it seems odd to me. It just seems odd. It was reported to me that DeWolf had text conversations with Ethan Chapin the night of the incident, but DeWolf denied that. Did y'all file a subpoena? Like, did you do a search warrant? Because, you know, that's how you get that answer. You don't need their freaking permission to file a search warrant. You're a cop. You're interviewing him and you feel like he's lying to you. File the search warrant. This interview stands out amongst others because police found it somewhat difficult to pin down the movements of Ethan and his girlfriend late Saturday night into early Sunday morning. Though Chapin spent a good deal of time at the Sigma Chi fraternity house, he was not permitted to live there due to low grades, so no one paid much attention when he left, which is true. Knowing that he didn't live there, he could leave and it not really matter to people that see it happen because they know he's not supposed to be there anyway. Adding to the confusion, a police search right here. This is weird. I don't understand this. A police search of Ethan's cell account showed that he had been blocked by a woman named Dylan Sturrock, Sturrock, and by another woman named Lydia Varga. Dylan Sturrock and Lydia Varga. To date, it appears no one in law enforcement has definitively identified or interviewed either woman. Why would women be blocking Ethan? How can they tell from Ethan's phone that these two people have blocked him? Because they're saying cell account, not Snapchat or Instagram or anything like this. This is like the phone numbers had him blocked. Let me go to Facebook and see if I can see. Facebook's usually where I can find their old Facebook accounts. And they'll have like all of the friends on there. Well, I guess we don't really know if the person's from Idaho. Well, hold on. Sturrock. If you type in that name with Idaho behind it, even though it's got a different last name, it's just showing shit about Dylan Mortensen. Wait a minute. Hold on a minute. Nope, this is a boy. Yeah, I don't see anything on Facebook. Let me try the other one. I'll look other places later. Lydia Varga. I just wonder, like, why would these people have Ethan blocked? See, there's a Lydia Vargas that lives in Twin Falls, Idaho. Oh, wait a minute. Here's one from New Jersey. And her name is spelled precisely like it is in here. She looks like she's college age. I don't want to show her face because I might be wrong. But it says that she's from Jersey and she was homeschooled before going to college. A petite blonde girl. Here's another one. Northern College. Where's that at? I don't know where that is. Is it in Idaho? No, it's in Canada. Huh. Here's another one. 442 friends. Lydia Varga. Oh, no. Yeah, I don't know. All the ones I'm looking at that are coming up with that name, like they're little blonde girls. Like all of them are like petite blondes. But I don't see one that I can definitively say this has to be it because, oh, look, the friends list and blah, 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 whatever. You know? Plus, we don't know if these people are from Idaho. I'm just curious, like, if you're in a relationship with someone, what could you possibly be saying to these strangers that the cops can't find, like, who they even are, that gets you blocked from their phones? Like, that's an odd thing. That's what I said. I don't know how, but that's like the example I gave earlier. If my ex were, like, something were to happen to my ex, the one we have the PO for, and they were to have his phone, how would they know by looking at his phone that I have his phone number blocked in my phone? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how they know that. I don't know how they know that. I have no idea. I didn't see them file anything for Ethan being on a dating app or anything like that. They are Dylan Sturrock. I'll put him in a thing. Let me see. I think I can do it like this. So we've got Erica in quotes with no last name that's texting him that he's being cheated on. And then we have him being blocked by Dylan Sturrock and Lydia Varga. These are the names. Right here. Yeah, I'm ADHD, bro. I don't look at the chat as much as people probably would like me to, but I'll lose my train of thought and go blank for like 5 seconds. So I do see some stuff. So don't take it personally if you write something and I don't get to it. I try not to like lose my train of thought everywhere. Thank you again for the 999, Kim. I think DM wanted JD, and I don't think she liked Kaylee. I don't think she liked Haley either. I really don't. I know damn well that there are people that become friends with girls they don't like because they're jealous and envious and they want to know all their business to try to like corrupt shit, start rumors about them, stuff like that. Like, people are effed up. So I don't know. But numbers that have you blocked, I would have no idea where to look to see where it shows that somebody else has my phone is not going to tell me if somebody else has me blocked. At least not that I've ever seen. I only have 2 people blocked in my phone though, so I don't know. Yeah, I feel like there was definitely some animosity with Dylan, and I don't know if it was just Kaylee either. It doesn't seem like it was just Kaylee. Whitcomb gets everything mixed up. I really feel like the FBI made him come out and write this book. Well, yeah, spam calls are one thing. But I just don't know how, right? Like, it only says, like, who I have blocked. It don't, like, let's say for some reason, like, the neighbor had me blocked in their phone. Their phone, how is their phone going to tell the police that I'm a blocked number that they need to look into? You know what I mean? And especially since it's saying like they didn't talk to him. So the only thing that I can really do is take these names. I'm gonna take these off of here now. The only thing that I can really do now is take these names and file a FOIA and see if there's anything at all. Like all of these names, the Kaylee, the Kylie, the other Kylie, whoever that's going to show up after this. That's the only thing that I can really do here. But I would love to know where he's getting that from. But I'm assuming that's also going to be labeled work product, like the Erica text. Which is crazy because all the other phone, like some of Ethan's phone stuff just says Ethan's phone call logs and the page number that it's on. But then the Erica stuff is like, oh, it's work product. Why wouldn't that text message have been in his phone? Because he deleted it? And so maybe because it came with a search warrant, it's work product instead, maybe? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Oh my God. I'm getting a new chair and I'm so excited. I just like moved and I was like, you know, there's on TikTok, those big chairs that are like the crisscross applesauce chairs. I'm gonna get a pink one or the black one with like the glitter and stuff in it. But I'm in this chair way too much. And Slade needs another chair because he games too hard. And I don't want to pay $300 for him a chair. So I'll pay me $200 for a new office chair that's not going to break my back and give him this old one. I'm just telling you all that because I just had to move and I'm hoping I don't have to be uncomfortable for very much longer. This chair hurts my back. And I've been sitting in office chairs for over a decade now. And I need to just splurge on something with lots of cushion because my big butt needs it. You know, it sure does. Okay. Yeah, I don't know how in the shit they haven't even bothered to go talk to these girls, especially if it's in the defense discovery. Why would they not go talk to them? That's really dumb. I don't understand that whatsoever. I really don't. No one established where he was last seen or what time he and Xana returned to King Road. That's true. Then when it comes to what DeWolf said, it says DeWolf was present with Chapin at the lodge at Sigma Chi. So somebody else that was at the party again. Okay, so see, I didn't hear this. I didn't catch this part before. So Tim DeWolf's roommate, whose name is Jaden Shepard, went to the formal and went to the Sigma Chi party. Tim DeWolf did not go to the formal, but did go to Sigma Chi. And even though he's one of Ethan's best friends, according to his own information, he didn't hang out with him. That's crazy. Give me a minute. Sorry, guys. That thing in my throat is just making me cough really hard. And my eyes are all watery from coughing so hard. And have to use some of my throat spray so I can stop that itch, so I can stop coughing. I will get to a doctor soon, I promise. I've got stuff I have to do with the kids. Actually, you know what? F that. I don't have to go to a physical doctor. I'll talk to my call-on people tomorrow and see what's going, if they can do something. They might want to do lab testing or something, but this thing is annoying. You know what I was thinking too? I was laying in bed with the cat, and like it came like suddenly, like I can feel it because it doesn't do it the whole time. Like it's like right here, but like in the inside of my throat. It doesn't do it all the time. But I was thinking, like, does this happen in my sleep? I don't recall ever like waking up in the middle of the night from me like coughing and like feeling this in my throat. So I guess it doesn't happen like in my sleep for some freaking reason, or I'm just so out of it. I'm just like coughing to death in my sleep and not waking up, which I honestly doubt. I don't think that's possible. I don't know. But tomorrow's like the last day, I think, before Dad comes. So I guess I'll get on the thingy tomorrow. Because it is getting really ridiculous. This is like, now it's like an issue more than it needs to be because I'm having to stop what I'm doing to handle it. So I need to pay more attention to it. Okay, let's get back to this. I'm going to FOIA the Dylan chick. I'm going to FOIA the Lydia person. The Kaylee, the Kylie. Okay. So when it comes to back to DeWolf, he says that Xana and Ethan have been dating for about 7 months and they were together about 6 nights a week. Well, I don't think they said he's like ever at his apartment, but I guess 6 nights is just being, given some leeway. He also says that when there's parties, there's at least 50 or 60 people, which sounds a lot more realistic to what we've actually seen on body cam for sure. But this is where it goes down here again and talks about how DeWolf, who's the bestie, was at Sigma Chi, but didn't have any interactions with Ethan. So that's odd. Like, it's okay for them to not have like text communications, you know what I mean? Like throughout the night. But why would you go to a lodge party where one of your closest friends are and you not even like bother hanging out with him even a little bit? But that's what he's claiming. That he didn't hang out with him at Sigma Chi. He also says he doesn't know when Ethan left the party. So when it comes down to the roommate, it says on the 12th that Shepard, which is the roommate to Tim DeWolf, he attended the formal party and he went to Sigma Chi afterwards. And he left around 1 o'clock and then he went to the Whites with Tim DeWolf and Trent Gwynn. The Whites is the apartment building right there in front of 1122. And they were there till 5 o'clock in the morning. Meaning that they are in the vicinity of the murders at the time that the murders apparently took place, within 50 feet, 100 feet from the house at those apartments. The apartment unit they were at was referred to as the Rack, which is interesting too, because a while back we listened to a Sigma Chi interview, and when they were talking about like Ethan, I don't remember, was it like having to borrow something and he would always like give it back plus extra. They mentioned something about a rack, and some people were like, that's what they call beer, like a certain thing of beer, a certain amount of beer, like the way that the beer is like held together or something like that. But now I'm wondering if I need to go back and re-listen to what was said, because this is a location. And they were at the Whites until around 5 o'clock in the morning when they returned to their unit at Sigma Chi. Went to bed at 5:30. Shepard had no contact with Chapin since the formal. So then it goes into getting information from Trent Gwynn, who said that he spoke with and saw Ethan sometime before 1:15 Sunday morning. So right before, or like right around the party ending. But this is where I'm confused, because he claims that where he saw Ethan was at what he's claiming is the Sigma Chi after party. So I'm going to have to get this interview too and see if he actually is talking about the after party, because two people, including Peter, have already came out in the interviews and said that there was supposed to be something else happening over at, was it ARG? Whichever one that was like the more like 4-H agricultural frat house, basically. But everyone else was saying they didn't go, that they were supposed to go, but they ended up not going. So for him to say that he saw him at the Sigma Chi after party, where was that? And then it talks about how November 30th, the Reed, the Kyle, the John guy, the Drew guy, the Ryan guy, all those names. We've gone through several of these. John, yeah, all of them. Do we have Reeds? Let me see. I don't think we've listened to Reed. I don't feel like that name stands out. Then there's a Matthew Manston. I don't think we've heard that one either. Reed. I don't think we have a Reed. We don't have Reed. Ofston, which is also interesting because the Reed that we've heard about, his last name was Upmore. Pretty positive his name was Upmore. And this says Ofston, Ofsthun. We went over Kyle Fry. We did go over John Felon. We went over Drew Carter. Ryan Moffitt. Everything that has Ryan's name on it on my channel. Nope, I was about to say it's all up church. That's not true. We went over, okay, we did go over the Trent Gwynn and the Ryan Moffitt interview. Connor got that a while back. What date was that we did that live review? April 26, 2026. So there is one that we have already heard from both of those guys. But I've never heard of Matthew Manston. I'm going to have to look at that. They talked to all of them for victimology purposes. And then it says, here comes the other Kylie person, a girl named Kylie Pearson. Kyli. And then Pearson is the PIER version. It says, and this is supplement number 101. Kylie is a Delta Gamma and friends with victims Ethan, Chapin, and Xana. Kylie knew Kaylee. Finally, somebody who freaking knows Kaylee, right? Kylie knew Kaylee as a previous neighbor, but they were never close. She didn't have any contact or relationship with Maddie or Bethany or Dylan. Kylie recalled Ethan always being the funny guy in the room, and Xana knew and was liked by everyone. Kylie had attended the Sigma Chi party with Sophia Oxarango, I guess how you say her last name, Oxarango, Oxarango, and ran into both Ethan and Xana. They were both in good spirits. Kylie believed Ethan's best friend was Kai, last name unknown, Jaden Shepard, and DJ Myers. Now, this is where it's interesting because according to Peter, Kai Davis, the guy that was sleeping with Bethany at the time the murders took place, is one of the guys that him and Ethan apparently did not like. So for this Kylie chick to be like Kai Davis was one of Ethan's closest friends, that's like literally the opposite of what we've just been told by Peter. So that was interesting. She then says that she believed that Xana was best friends with Emily and Josie, which for the Emily section, that's accurate. Kylie had never been inside 1122 King Road and doesn't know anyone that would want to hurt the victims. So I guess they talked to her because she was at that party, but the people that have Ethan blocked and the other girl that was at the party, they didn't speak to because this is not the same Kylie. Remember, I told you over here that it was Kaylee Tavernier and Kylie Eppenstein. This girl's name is Kylie Pearson. And it's spelled differently. The other Kylie is Kyley, and this one is just Kyli. But it seems like his consensus for the way that the detectives' reports are written is that Ethan was a bystander, like an unfortunate bystander. But we don't really know that because we don't have any facts or proof to any freaking thing. It's just several assumptions. He says here that it's odd to him that Detective Lake's victimology barely mentions anything regarding Xana. Which I guess we would know that if we had all of his victimology information, but we don't. I wonder if I can get it, though. I'm going to try to get something from it. I want to try to get the profiler report. I want to try to get their victimology reports of everything they wrote down. Because obviously he's having conversations that we're not privy to. They mentioned the fact that Peter talked to him on the phone before the 12/5/22 interview and stuff was like talked about. And Connor already like FOIA'd for anything regarding their interview and nothing additional came through. So there's definitely stuff and conversations going on that this detective guy is taking into consideration when he's writing his victimology that we don't technically have in a recorded phone call. Because I highly doubt that Peter's the only person that he's done that with. Let's see. All right, so there, he gets into a little bit of Xana's, like who she is and what was going on in her life at the time. And we're going to get into some stuff about Kara being in jail and all the stuff that happened with her being talked to and all those other things. So it says Xana was a 20-year-old the day she died and a U of I marketing major from Avondale, Arizona, who had moved to the small town of Post Falls, Idaho, where she played volleyball and soccer in high school. So Post Falls is where she would have like come across Kaylee then, according to Jack DeCore. She was a member of the Pi Beta Phi sorority, worked at the Mad Greek restaurant with Maddie Mogen, and had an older sister named Jasmine, who was a student at WSU where Kohberger studied criminology. Xana had a large circle of friends who described her as a fun-loving and kind type of person who would light up any room. Xana loved her dog's shoe shine, electric dance music, and going on trips with her sister and father. She overcame significant adversity on her way to finding success at college. Xana's parents were divorced, and her mother had suffered serious legal problems as a result of alleged substance abuse, as reported in the police files. Kara was incarcerated the night her daughter was killed. So then it goes to November 20th when Detective Snell and Jess Stinnett go down to Kootenai County Jail where Kara was, because the original report that got them down there was saying that Kara had made statements regarding the homicide of her daughter Xana and her drug involvement somehow being involved. But then when they go down there to actually talk to her, she doesn't repeat any of that. So someone heard her say it, called them and said, hey, you need to come talk to her. And then they get down there and she doesn't repeat it, apparently. Then he starts talking about how Ann Taylor's office had represented Kara at the time, like beforehand. And remember, there was all this discrepancy and all of this, like just like back and forth. Ann Taylor had never directly represented Kara. Ann Taylor's office did because she was the lead attorney in her office, but she herself had not personally ever represented Kara. And as a matter of fact, when Kara was shown a photo of Ann Taylor, she said she didn't recognize her, according to the report. Let's see. It says right here, review of the actual audio recording indicates that Kara learned of her daughter's death from the news. So Jeff didn't even, I don't know. She made it sound, actually, it's not she made it sound. She said in interviews that Jeff tracked her down and she was like in real life. Like she was, the way that she tells the story is that she was not in jail. She was out like in real life and Jeff came and tracked her down because he knew right where she was. As a matter of fact, the story that I'm recalling in my mind has something to do with like a casino, maybe. Is the story that I remember being told. Because Jeff knew right where to find her. That's the story that I remember being told. And let's see. Review of the actual recording indicates that Kara learned of her daughter's death from the news and had not been notified by police or given any details prior to the November 2nd interview. So at this point, it had been a whole week. She sounded emotionally distraught at the news and upset that police would provide almost no information about the crimes. When asked about the crimes being somehow related to revenge, she denied it. So she had said something before, got them to come down there because someone else heard it. Now they're asking her directly, and she's denying it. They only had a 9-minute conversation. Kara said she was unaware of anyone who would want to hurt her daughter and added that her ex-husband had specifically asked her if she had any involvement with the cartels. So Jeff instantly was like, what the hell have you been doing? He was suspicious of her involvement in things. He wanted to know if Xana had been killed as a result of her mother's exposure to organized crime. So Jeff apparently initially had that feeling from the jump. Kara has never been implicated in any way in her daughter's death. Yes, we know that. Now, this is where we get into some more information that I don't remember it being this way. And I could just be remembering incorrectly, but the way that I remember it is that Jeff was already on his way back home from WSU when he got the news that something had happened to Xana, and he turned back around and headed straight back to Moscow. This says that he stopped by Xana's house when she failed to respond to text messages. I don't remember that being what we were told. This right here, though, is what's important because of what we've talked about so much here. Jeff holds on to this. I talked to her at midnight that night. She was at home. She wasn't feeling good. If I would have driven drunk over there, I would have been in that house and they would have all had a chance. He has held on to this since she died. And I just honestly don't know if it's real. I don't know if it's real or if his brain has just got the wrong date in his mind or what's going on. Because the original report that we got from when Jeff and Jasmine were being talked to is both of them pulled out their phones and said the last time that they spoke to Xana was Friday night, not Saturday night. The timing that they have in here for that is her calling Jeff at 9:40 p.m. on Friday night, not Saturday. So I would hope eventually that gets cleared up, because phone logs we'll fix that real quick. And I just don't know. I don't know. He has to know, on the phones, that it was Saturday for him to be holding on to this so hard. But the reports say Friday, and that's a problem if it's wrong. That's a problem. Now, he also clarifies information that we've already clarified because of other context that has come out about if there was something with the lock messed with or anything like that. What's discussed here is the door coming off the hinges, off the frame. It says Lake inquired about reports that the women had come home recently to find the front door of their house wide open. Kernodle, a construction contractor, told Lake the front was barely hanging on the hinges, so he fixed it using longer screws. He never touched the lock on the door. On Valentine's Day, February 14th, 2023, Kara Kernodle was interviewed again by Van Leuven regarding the situation with Ann Taylor. And they go around saying that she thought that she met with somebody that was Ann Taylor on multiple occasions when she was an inmate at the Kootenai County Jail, but then she doesn't recognize her. It was just somebody from her office. This is where they say they showed a photo. Kara claimed not to recognize the woman in the photo. She said someone had showed her. See, and this is what I was telling you guys before. She, when we were talking, she would send me stuff that people would send her and ask me, is there any proof of this? Is there a document that says this? Do you have any validity to this? What's going on with this? 95% of it was bullshit off of Reddit and just the craziest, most off the wall shit that anybody could come up with no proof of anything. And this is where it starts, because when she's asked, how did you even know about Ann Taylor? How did you even come to think that Ann Taylor was your attorney? Her response is, someone showed me a Reddit thread. So not your own memory, that can tell you if that was your attorney or not your own history of all the trouble that you've been in and all the back and forth with attorneys that you've talked to, a Reddit thread. That's where a lot of the misinformation that the parents got also came from, because it wasn't just, oh, they happened to come across it. People were forcing it down their throats, telling them their kids weren't really dead, they're in protective custody, all this crazy shit constantly. She was blocking accounts left and right. I know that for sure. So then it goes down here and talks about why, and this honestly doesn't answer the question. Like, I don't know why he puts this like this, but when you're like foreshadowing into something or saying, in order for us to understand this, we have to now look at this, you're expecting there to be a little bit more detail that full circles the situation, right? That's not technically the case. I had in my mind, based off information that we already knew about what Emily has had to say about Kara and Xana's relationship, what should have been here. And it's not here. So that's another reason I'm like, this has to be written by AI, because no human author with any passion for writing would leave it like this. Okay. Why add Xana's mom to the Lakes team victimology if she was in jail at the time of the murders and only had limited contact with her estranged daughter? We must turn to Corporal Brett Payne's November 13th interview with Emily Allant to gain insight. But you don't gain any insight. This entire last page of this chapter, after saying that, doesn't give any insight. He asks, what's your relationship to the people in the house? And she starts talking about how Xana was her best friend. And then he lies, because this is not true according to everything that we've heard. She saw Xana lying dead in a dried pool of blood in her bedroom floor. No, she didn't. Emily literally states Hunter saved her from seeing that, because he came to the steps after she sees the knife on the floor. He's coming this way. She's already seeing the knife on the floor. Here comes Hunter to stop her from seeing the hallway, and she turns around. Emily did not see Xana's body. So I don't know why Chris Whitcomb put that in here. We know that's not true. Then it says, Ethan is her boyfriend, who's also one of my best friends, and Maddie Mogen and Kaylee are great friends to all of us too, because they live with them. And then they talk about sororities and bigs and blah, 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 the bullshit. She gets wrong that she says Ethan is in Delta Tau, which we know is not true. So it is interesting that she got that part wrong. But when you are referencing, why is Detective Lake talking about Xana's mom in the victimology if she was arrested? And then you say, oh, in order for us to understand that, we have to go to this interview. Where's the information about Xana's mom in this page? Where's the information about Xana's mom in this page? Chapter's done. So what I'm expecting to have been here is what we already know Emily said from the James Patterson book and from the interviews, that there was no relationship between Xana and Kara. They tried to meet up not long before this, and it didn't go well. It didn't happen. They did not meet up with each other. So that's horrible writing to me. If you're going to be a writer, be a freaking writer. You're not a writer. I don't know what the hell that was. Poorly done. That's for damn sure. But that's it. That part 2, wrote in 2023. Everything that you guys saw from that Amazon Prime series that came out in 2025 was recorded in 2023 before the gag order. That is the freaking facts. Yep. That's why I'm questioning this one that's coming out now, because we know that Fry was doing all of this. We know that Thompson all of a sudden was out in front of cameras when that's not his norm. I'm really wondering how many of these law enforcement people, because it's Amazon, talked before the gag order was over, and they've just been holding on to the footage so they can release it after the fact like it didn't happen illegally. I bet there's a lot of footage like that. I really do. Well, this was an interesting chapter. Like I said, the timing is insane for what we just listened to with Peter. Now, I did clip out a section of what Peter said and post it this morning. I'll do the same thing with a couple other things he said, like the profile that they asked him to come up with, just because it's so freaking out of there. And then the timeline information that he's giving. And, of course, about the conversation, apparently, that him and Ethan had about Xana. I'll clip all that stuff out. and put it out there separately because it's information that I feel is pretty important and needs to be looked at separately. I don't trust Peter's intentions. I don't know if he's involved in anything, but instantly the way that he talked about everyone, put Ethan down, just the way that he talked, it's just definitely odd. It was almost on the same vibe as Jack Ducour when he was just like talking and saying all these things, and very much just odd. And you also have to think too, like we're finding out a bunch more connections that we weren't really too positive about. So to find out that Ethan, who's dating Xana, is best friends with Peter, who used to date Xana, who also used to date Bethany, who was then at the time sleeping with Kai Davis, who Ethan and Peter didn't like. And Ethan was always with Kai Davis because Kai Davis was always at that house because he was sleeping with Bethany, and Ethan was there all the time. Like, it's just the dynamics there are interesting, especially given those text messages that we got between Dylan and Bethany and Sergeant Blaker that mentioned an argument. Pretty sure Kai Davis is one of the names. Let me see. Where did I even put that? Let me pull up that FOIA real quick. I want to see if maybe I can see the rest of the names on that, because they did redact the damn things. And you know, when I asked for that damn information, I asked which one is which because they gave me 2 screenshots and she could not tell me which message was from Dylan and which message was from Bethany. So then I'm like, then how do you know that what you're sending me is what you're supposed to send me if you can't tell me who is who? You know? Oh, they get on my nerves. They got on my nerves so bad. Oh my God. Oh my God. All right, let me see. Where was it? Blaker? No, it's not the right one. Blaker texts. Oh, yeah. Oh, it is the dude. Okay. I'll put this in a separate thing too when I get to this section in Peter's interview. Okay. You guys remember Peter says something about like the people that they don't like, and he says Jesse Hollick, and that's one of the names that Connor has in his little list of who he thought they were talking about that they don't like. And Peter mentioned the Jesse Hollick guy said a bunch of weird shit to the girls. Well, look at this text message right here. JH, weird flirty comments to Kaylee, and got in a fight at our house on October 15th. Kai Davis was involved in the fight. Well, that tells me that Bethany and Kai Davis had probably been sleeping together since at least October then. Now, when it comes to this AR initial, I'm not sure who this could have been. Also involved with the fight that night. But this right here is a secondary confirmation that this Jesse Hollick guy definitely was making inappropriate comments to Kaylee. And I'm going to assume that maybe because Kai Davis was over there, and maybe because he's just like friends with them because he was with Bethany, he was maybe taking up for Kaylee because of what this asshole was saying to her, and that's why they got into a fight. And see, like, then there's this one, and they can't tell me who is who. So I can't be like, oh, Bethany told Blaker about this. Oh, Dylan told Blaker, Bethany told Blaker. I can't say none of that shit because we don't know who the frick it came from. But this right here tells me that he just went in and like screenshotted one little quick screenshot and then sent it off as an answer. No, sir, you're going to give me more than what you're showing me. Because look right here, 926, 94%. 928, 94%, and we got one freaking screenshot from each one. This is not text messages between Dylan and Bethany and Blaker. This is one screenshot. This is not the conversation. I'm not playing these games with them. I'm about to re-FOIA every FOIA I've ever FOIA'd. I don't give a shit. I'm about to FOIA every FOIA I've ever FOIA'd. Yeah, I'll put this together with what Peter said about Jesse in a separate video too. What is that, like 15 different separate things now? All important on their own thing, so they need to be separated out or people are going to miss them. I don't know who the AR one is. I have no idea. I don't know any A names. I mean, there's an Aaron, but I don't think that it's an R last name because it didn't register and no one else has mentioned anything. So I'm guessing not. So I don't know. But this was an interesting chapter. We'll go over chapter 11 maybe tomorrow. Probably tomorrow. Tuesday is when I like to try to go live twice. So we'll probably do chapter 11 like tomorrow night. And during the day, we might go live tomorrow to talk about the Nancy Guthrie case because there's been some stuff being talked about today. Apparently some information from the second ransom note that came out. Some of the wording from that apparently has been released. So people are talking about that. And I mean, it's just that whole thing, that whole case right there is just odd, especially like how they just have like no leads, no nothing. And we're still just back to, we're going to talk about the ransom note. It's just wild. So we might go live talking about that one as the first one. Just because there's some new stuff and we haven't done an update on it because there really hasn't been anything, but till now. So we'll see. But that's it, guys. I'm going to go ahead and get off of here. You'll definitely see me tomorrow. Thanks for hanging out in here with me. I know this book is taking a while to go through, but I really wanted to go chapter by chapter to see what was going on. And like I said, I ordered Cy Ray's book today, but it's not supposed to be here until sometime between July 10th and 14th. I put the thing that it's dead to me in the community tab. So yeah, we'll go through that one when it gets here, see what's going on. Did the custody people ever say anything about Cy Ray coming back onto their channel or not? Because I'm honestly confused about what they're trying to say is going to happen with that. Because after the word had already come out that like apparently it wasn't going to happen. Is that what they said? I know somebody had said something about it like was gonna like not happen anymore. And then I saw something on TikTok where they were like, oh, this is still gonna happen. And now I'm just like confused on what's gonna happen. I mean, the coming soon Cy Ray live short is still up there on their page, but I don't know what they're doing. I find it interesting they're getting all of these interviews and they really don't know and they don't know enough facts about the case in order to do what lawyers should be doing, which is questioning when people are saying things incorrectly. I've only seen them maybe try to correct somebody one time, and even then they just like let it go. Even though the person was wrong, they just let it go. Like it was like, okay, next subject. Frustrating, Expect better from attorneys, but whatever. I'm going to go ahead and get off of here. Thank you again so much for the gifted memberships. Those that joined on their own and the super stickers and the super chats. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you again for spending some of your, probably not. I don't know what the hell he's going to do. Tell me about it. Yeah. There's like a whole lore about that channel now. And like the connections about why these people even like know each other, and it's whatever. I don't even care. We're just going to stick on to doing what we're doing over here because we know we're doing it right, and that's just not enough. It's just enough, and I just don't want to deal with all of that. So we're just going to do what we're doing over here. And if and when he comes out and does an interview, we will definitely do an instant reaction thingy like before. But we'll see what he does. We will see what he does. Frustrating. All right. You guys have a super great night. Have a super great sleep. Don't forget tomorrow's Taco Tuesday. Eat all the tacos. This book's going to smell like tacos. Sorry. It'll be okay. I will see you guys soon. Most likely tomorrow. Have a super, 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 super great night. And again, thank you for coming in here with me tonight. I appreciate you guys so much. See y'all. If you like the way that I present this information and give my opinion, please don't forget to leave a like on the way out. Subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed already. And please don't forget to make sure that the notification bell is set to all so you don't miss any of my rants, reviews, reactions, updates, or deep dives.